a start. And all right, I'm talking to Tom Eade, who has just retired after 54 years in the Churches of Christ ministry. Have you retired, Tom?
Not really. I've just been retreated, that's all.
Well, I preached a sermon in Frankston, and I was sharing with Tom about my illustration for the prodigal son, and that is that he packed his togs, he went to the dogs and he ate with the hogs.
Yeah.
And you came up with a better outline, and I was just wondering if you'd like to share that.
Sure. I guess, you know, there's so many aspects of the prodigal son, but trying to make it something easy to remember was the desires that beset him, the disasters that befell him, and the decision that made him. I wasn't quite able to get a B word to end up there.
Okay, okay. Now you come from the old school of preaching,
Yep.
which is a good school, mind you. I think we went to the same school.
Yeah.
And you've got all your D's lined up in a row there.
Yeah.
Desires, disasters, and decisions.
Yeah.
You know, these parables, there's a renewed interest in them.
Yes.
Books are being written about them. And one of the things that commentators point out is that it's very hard to come up with what the central teaching of Jesus was. You just say, oh, it makes sense, doesn't it? What was your big idea? What did you think Jesus was teaching here?
Well, in the parable, I think it was teaching that there is a loving God, as in a loving father. There is the conflict in families, as in the younger brother and the older brother. There are the temptations that come in people's lives, and when we wander away from God's path for us, there's disasters that come upon us, and it's not until we come to our senses and return to our Father. And I see this as what Jesus is teaching. I suppose if I wanted to enlarge upon this, I would say that in Luke 15, it's not three parables, as we have the lost son and we have the lost sheep. And I have actually used that as the lost son, the lost sheep and the lost silver, and used how Jesus is showing in this particular parable the three different kinds of people who are lost. As the silver was lost and didn't know it was lost, had no idea about it. The sheep was lost and found out it was lost and somebody couldn't do anything about it. And the son was lost and realised he was lost and he did something about it. So,
and there's an increasing focus from 100 sheep to 10 coins
to one
son. Yeah. I like what you've written here. You've said from despair to deliverance.
Yes.
That's your central thought, isn't it?
Well, it is, but only from the perspective of the son. There is so much more in the parable. And it's not until... well, as the scripture says, godly sorrow leads to repentance, and that brings us back to our Father, and He's the only one who can provide for us.
So, in your conclusion, and the conclusion is usually you want the congregation to do something.
Yeah.
You want to stir them into action. What was your conclusion?
My conclusion is based on decision, and as we've discussed on other occasions, the decision is always with me associated with preaching. You call upon people to make a decision. They have to do something about what you've said. They can either accept it or they can reject it, but they've still made a decision. And in this aspect, the son decided he was going to go back to the father. The father, open arms, had already made that decision to welcome him because he was looking for him. And the other brother, he made a decision that he didn't want to have anything to do with this. But for the congregation, in preaching a sermon such as that, it would be dependent upon my assessment of what the needs were of that particular congregation, and would then emphasise the aspect that was applicable.
And so your key word is decision? Decision, and that's... He made the wrong decision and continued to make the wrong decision until he made the right decision.
That's right, yeah.
Very good. Good timing.